Good afternoon. This is Jenny Gee coming to you on a Wednesday instead of our normal Friday to do our God in Nature, amazing creation check-in. And I am going to be doing this on Wednesdays now, kind of in the noonish hour. It's a little bit earlier today, but I'm going to change it up because my normal day off is Friday, and I was, as much as I enjoy spending some time doing this, I'm going to do it during the work week, and then take Fridays to just think about other things. So this is our new time together, and I hope that if Friday still works for you, that you just check out the video because it'll still be there. But today, and I'm around the church building, and I want to show you something kind of cool that's going on. And that is, if you look, this is the door that leads out of the music closet at the front of the sanctuary. And I noticed this morning that this awesome little mourning dove has built a nest, and he or she right now is saying, "I'm not making eye contact with you," or actually maybe is making eye contact since his or her eyes are on the side of their head. I guess that's how she or he best looks at me. So I thought today would be really kind of a fun day to talk about some of the things that make mourning doves so amazing, and there are so many of them. So if you've ever had a mourning dove in your yard build a nest, you know that they make them kind of messy. This one up here is a little scraggly. If I was to go underneath it, and I'm not going to do that, there's even a possibility we'd be able to look up and see the eggs right through it. They're loose. The male will bring sticks and stems and grasses, and she'll develop that nest. There's only going to be 2 eggs in it, and I'm going to talk a little bit about why so few. But they will, seasonally, the male and the female stay monogamous with each other, and they will try to have maybe up to about 4 different nesting periods with 2 eggs each. And there's a really kind of a neat reason as to why it's a little bit fewer eggs than what we're used to when we think about other birds. So they'll lay the 2 eggs, they'll incubate them for about 2 weeks, and then about another 2 weeks after that, the young will leave the nest. So for the next month, and this is super normal timing for that first brood, early April, if all goes well, and I think that they have chosen a wonderful location because the light is in front of them and the building behind. So I'm going to turn it around again so that you can enjoy looking at the bird rather than at me. But you can see down below where he or she is sitting how all that hangs down, and that's just loose nesting material. They really don't build a tight nest. And I keep saying he or she because they share the duty of incubating the eggs. They'll both be on there. And one of the other things that I think is really fascinating and a little unusual, we do see it in flamingos and in penguins and in doves, is they don't feed, once those young hatch, they will not be feeding them worms or seeds or any of that other kind of stuff. What the birds do is they end up putting, well, okay, so let me go back a little bit. If you put seed out and you have mourning doves come to the feeder, you may have noticed how incredibly messy they are, where they seem like they're just eating and knocking seed everywhere. And they eat a ton. They'll take in, scientists say, 12 to 20% of their body weight in a day. But what they do is they have kind of a muscular kind of pouch that's part of their digestive tract that seed is all stored in, and that's called a crop. And almost all the birds have crops, not all of them do, where they can kind of store food and then digest it slowly. I think we talked about that when we talked about vultures. They'll eat and eat and eat because that carrion is sitting there. may as well take it all in and then go digest it elsewhere. And so that's kind of a cool adaptation that birds have, where they can store the food and then slowly digest it. But what mourning doves do, which is really, really neat, is they will produce out of that crop a really high in fat, high in protein milk, they call it. It's not milk, but it's called crop milk. And feed that, and it's kind of the texture and consistency of like cottage cheese, and then they feed that to the babies. Both the male and the female produce this crop milk and feed it to their young. And scientists have taken crop milk from birds, and that, like I said, it's penguins, flamingos, doves, and pigeons that produce it. But they've taken that and they've fed it instead to young chickens, and their growth and development has been, much better, at a much higher rate, because it's so high in the proteins and fats. So that's kind of a really, really, really cool thing about them. And that they both produce it, I think, is pretty amazing as well. What else about them? Oh, if you've ever heard them like taking off, where they're flapping their wings, and then it's kind of that whistly, I'm not going to imitate it, but it's sort of like, as that's all wing. That's not them making any noises with their beak, with their sound system. They do that, and that's a warning to other birds around them that there's danger. And so that's why they're so noisy. And I can hear one calling. Oh yeah. What about that? Mourning dove, not mourning like it's early in the morning, but mourning, M-O-U-R-N, because of that call. And I don't know if you can hear it. It's over across the street, it sounds like, or maybe up in the trees closer to the road. Maybe even the mate of this one is calling and saying, what's going on? Why is that lady recording our nest? But it's a mournful sound, and they get their name because of that sad, mournful sound that scientists have named them mourning doves. The other thing, and I just remembered, so the other thing I want to tell you about that is just an incredibly cool adaptation that they have you ever noticed, if you have a bird bath, how most birds land on a bird bath, they get a little bit of water in their mouth, and then they tip their head backward and let gravity do the work of taking the water down? Mourning doves don't do that. Mourning doves have a completely different and really specialized system for drinking water. And it's a little safer. They don't have to be as vulnerable as having their head tipped back, but they use their tongue as almost like a straw, and they can slurp it up, and they kind of will do almost like a thrusting with the tongue to make it work like a piston in an engine, say. And it creates a vacuum, and that water then is slurped up instead of having to take a sip, tip the head, take a sip, tip the head. That they actually can drink with their head down in the water. So next time you have one around, observe it on your bird bath and watch how it drinks. So here we are at the church. We've got a pair of mourning doves who have nested, and in the next month or so we will have little babies. Well, in the next 2 weeks we'll have little babies, and then after that they'll fledge and be gone, and we can just sit and relax and enjoy and revel in all of the amazing things about these doves and what a creative, amazing God we have. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and enjoy all the changes of spring right now. There are so many things going on, and I will see you again. I'll see you Sunday, and then I'll see you again next Wednesday. See ya.